Greetings, this is Dr. Scott Lively. I'm here in Barnyard Studios to create a video version of my latest essay, my column for WorldNet Daily that will be published tonight. It's November 30th. The title is Trump Should Not Surrender the White House. If not for the surreal, unprecedented big lie conspiracy of the elites who monopolize our public information systems, big media, big tech, and who dominate the top strata of our institutions, including the courts and intelligence agencies, all fair-minded Americans would agree that the 2020 election was irredeemably corrupted by fraud. The overwhelming preponderance of the evidence on the Trump side is matched only by the intensity of the criminal suppression of the evidence on the anti-Trump side. Now even President Trump is admitting that it may be impossible to get his case to the Supreme Court for vindication of his election night victory through a full disclosure and review of that evidence by the constitutionalist majority of the justices. If that turns out to be the case, and the elites have so thoroughly solidified control over the legal and political mechanisms which the founders established for us, it will mean that they will have broken the Constitution itself. They will have accomplished what none of us believed possible, a coup d'etat by means of the Purple Revolution, which is the domestic version of the color revolutions by which the globalist left and our CIA have overthrown governments across the globe. I've been writing about this Purple Revolution since before Trump's inauguration on January 2017. Now we know why Pelosi and the other narrative setters of the Purple Revolution began injecting the then mystifying accusation, without a shred of evidence, that Trump might refuse to vacate the White House on January 20th. They expected to be able to block Trump from getting his case to the Supreme Court, and to be able to gaslight such a huge portion of the electorate with the, quote, no evidence of fraud, big lie, that we would accept their theft of the presidency as, quote unquote, constitutional, and acquiesce to a, quote, peaceful transition of power. I still believe the Supreme Court will get the case and rescue the nation from the Marxists. And I believe the fallback contingency of the presidential electors being chosen by the state legislatures is a second path to preserving the republic. However, if those last constitutional barriers to the overthrow of the United States are defeated by the globalists somehow, there is only one remaining option for the free and just America our founders bequeathed to us to survive: a declaration of a national emergency by President Trump to allow him to remain in office long enough for a new election to be conducted by means guaranteed to ensure its fairness, with every step of the process except the secret ballot casting itself being done under full public scrutiny and recorded on video. It is essential to recognize, in the face of this existential election fraud crisis, that the U.S. Constitution is not the deepest foundation stone of our country. The bedrock on which the Constitution was constructed is the Declaration of Independence. It is in that document that we find the remedy for curing the Marxist cancer that has put America on her deathbed. Having been a front-lines culture war activist for more than 3 decades of America's incremental takeover, fighting a rearguard action against the same leftist elements now arrayed against Trump, with many deep battle scars to prove it, I perceived that the trajectory of the Purple Revolution would likely bring us to this precipice. Therefore, on November 17th, 2016, I specifically predicted exactly what would and has now transpired. Quote, there's 3 action items here, 3 fact items that are from that piece in 2016. Number 1, this I predicted, an army of faceless anarchists engaged in civil disobedience and property destruction on an anti-fascism theme. Imagine the explosion of street violence in the late 1960s, but employing social justice rather than anti-war rhetoric, like Black Lives Matter, but bigger and broader. This is designed to terrorize the public, but also to deliberately provoke police reactions that can be documented on film and edited to misrepresent the police as brown shirt style fascists. Number 2 of my predictions, a coordinated propaganda campaign by all the usual suspects on the left in media, academia, Hollywood, and the nonprofit foundation sector, branding the Trump administration as a fascist regime akin to the Third Reich. This will build slowly but inexorably as the left gathers and weaves together its case like a crooked prosecutor in the courtroom of international opinion. And then number 3, obstruction of conservative policy through guerrilla litigation tactics by groups such as the Center for Constitutional Rights and the Southern Poverty Law Center and their silent partners in the federal judiciary. End quote. That's from 2016. I outlined a broad brush counter strategy in that article as well that remains timely. But on January 7, 2020, after my predictions had come true and cracks had begun to show in the foundation stones of the Constitution, I foresaw the potential need for a more legally oriented proto-constitutional remedy grounded in the Declaration of Independence, specifically in this clause, quote, "Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Thus, whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government." End quote. I drafted a Declaration of Restoration based upon the Declaration of Independence that frames the legal path forward. My prescription then and now is to invoke this law to alter, not abolish, our government by the use of the emergency powers of the President to impose necessary election reforms through a new presidential election with just 2 sections. 1, a revote for the President and all down-ticket races, and 2, a binding referendum question allowing voters to affirm or reject the reform package as a guarantee of election integrity in all future elections. Hillary Clinton pronounced on August 25, 2020, that Joe Biden should not concede the election under any circumstances. In retrospect, I believe she was baiting a trap for conservatives to jump on her with both feet and thus preemptively neuter any argument from our side that Trump should not concede. I never took that bait, and I'm saying loud and clear right now that Donald Trump should not vacate the White House unless he does so because he agrees he legitimately lost the election and was not cheated out of it through election fraud. If he knows the election was fraudulent and he really did win, he has a legal and moral duty to preserve the republic by implementing an election do-over. That's my essay, strong stuff, but I believe that that may be necessary. I hope it's not, and I'm still believing that the Supreme Court is going to vindicate his election night victory and that we will have an extension of our reprieve through the second term of the Donald Trump administration. That's my essay today. God bless you. We'll talk to you next time.